see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, boots and a sexy body.
Welcome to another exciting tutorial. This time we're going to paint Tau Crisis battlesuits in the new and beloved Farsight Enclaves red color scheme.
A few degrees, my imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees, I'm addicted to
The first thing I'm going to do is to apply a brown undercoat for all the red armor. Notice how I am avoiding the upper parts of the body. I want to paint the brown only in the darker areas of the red armor. The darkest point of the red body is going to be brown. We must avoid using black for the darkest point because this armor is supposed to really have black parts and we don't want those both pieces to be confused. Now for the midtones, let's apply one thin layer of Mephiston red. With Evilson Scarlet, I'm going to start painting the midtones and highlights. We have to blend them together with Mephiston Red. I'm going to darken the recesses with null oil. I know it's common to use Agrax Earthshade, but for these dark examples I'm going to use null oil. Now for the highlights we're going to use Wild Rider Red. Notice that I am not using a very thin edge highlights because we're going to blend them later with Evilson Scarlet. Now moving over to start painting the black areas of the model. Our choice is Abaddon Black. I'm going to use Dark Reaper to paint the highlights of the black surfaces. And later I'm going to be adding white to the Dark Reaper to create extreme edge highlights. For the grey colors, I'm going to use a mix of Abaddon Black, white paint and Fenrisian Grey in various combinations to make a very light grey color. And finally, when I don't think it's light enough, I'm going to be adding a little bit of white. White is such a clear color that I only want to use it in the brightest points or in edge highlights. had to lower the brightness of the video for you to see how the gray colors actually look. And now we're going to proceed to paint the gold parts of the model. A quick tip here is if you want a bright gold, I recommend you an undercoat of yellow in the surfaces before applying any metallic paint. And now this is going to help us to need only maybe 1 or maybe 2 layers of our main gold color Retributor armor. My favorite color to darken gold is Rayclan Fleshade. I don't know why, it's just really cool. And finally, for the edge highlights of the gold, I'm going to use a mix of Auric Gold and Stormcast Silver. That are shining are going to be blue, but it's kind of a greenish bluish looking, so I'm going to mix a few colors to create the gradient that I really want to see here. First I'm going to paint the glowing surface and the immediate surfaces close to it. Next, I continue painting the glowing surface, but only a smaller part of it, and then a very thin edge highlight on the pieces that are very directly illuminated. Next, some white on the very center of the glowing area and very thin and small edge highlights for the very closest surrounding elements. And this is then gonna be covered with a very thin layer of Ghost Blaster and Ahriman Blue, just because I want that part to glow very strongly. And because nobody's perfect, I made some mistakes and I had to add some Abaddon Black to cover the bits that got too brightened by these paints. And now for the fun part, we're going to paint the Farsight Enclaves symbol. And I'm going to start with white, because there is a white background in all of it. The second largest portion of the crest is black, so this is going to be the next step now. Sadly, the camera was all blurry during this process. I hope you still can see some of it. The final element is the circle, and it's going to be with Abaddon Black. I wasn't very happy with how it came out, so I went back to Abaddon Black to refine a little bit the drawing. I wasn't happy again, so I'm going back to white just to refine it a teeny bit more. And there you go, the model is complete. But now I'm going to take it to the next level, so I'm going to paint the base a little bit. In case you were wondering, the model is placed on a thin sheet of cork, and then a little stone next to it. I'm going to cover it with grey, and I'm going to be then adding some white to start to create some contrast. It's basically just dry brushing everywhere, adding more and more white, and then applying less and less paint. And there you go, the model is finished. Nah, just kidding. I wanted this model to represent Subcommander Touchstar, so she's going to be wielding 2 flamers. Let's start painting the OSL effect on the flamers. The first thing we need to do is to add some weight in the deepest point, which is the point that is closest to the actual fire of the weapon. If you saw the other tutorials, this is basically the same as that I did with the lava effect. I'm going to start white, then yellow, then orange, then darker orange. Basically, the closest we are to the source of the heat, the brighter the color. Further away, the darker the color. With Flash Kits Yellow, I'm going to be painting all of the white surface and a little bit of extra pieces. Now to yellow, I'm going to be mixing Troll Slayer Orange to make this transition very smooth. Then more Troll Slayer Orange when it gets further away from the center of the heat. And then I'm going to be mixing it with Evil Zone Scarlet when the places are got further and further away. You can see how the transition is coming out. The last color to the mix is black. Basically, orange mixed with black looks kind of like a brown, but we want this transition from the heat into the black metal to be as smooth as possible. To increase the contrast and make this OSL effect more visible from the distance, I'm going to do some edge highlights in yellow. Now I'm going to repeat the same process I did but with the other weapon, and then I'm going to apply a similar effect to the body of the Crisis battlesuit. Now, after I identify the pieces that are going to be directly illuminated by the heat of this gun, I start illuminating them with Evil Zone Scarlet. Just like before, I'm going to start getting brighter and brighter, so to the mix I'm going to be adding Troll Slayer Orange. This step is just mostly dry brushing, and I'm gonna be doing it now with Troll Slayer Orange alone, without mixing any other color. And a small edge highlight of Troll Slayer Orange and Flash Kids Yellow. This is going to give it a very nice warm effect. Alright then, I'm very happy with the model now. That is Sub-Commander Touchstar, wielding her 2 flamers. This has been fun. See you next time.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.